What is up, Streamland? I am Jay Rosario from Unstoppable Comics, hanging out with the right hand man,
Right.
Ryan, the right hand man. Way to kill the pop, dude. You know what I mean? I'm trying to come in here with the buzz, with the energy, where you're like, man, way to kill the pop, dude. You know what I mean? I'm trying to come in here with the buzz, with the energy, where you're like, and I think the reverb is coming through. So maybe shut down the other link that has the YouTube. Yeah. Folks, that's what you get when you're doing these things for the first time, right? Yeah, this is the fourth time I've tried to host this thing. We're still getting it wrong.
My first time off of mobile, so
but we're having fun. Thank you all for joining us. If you're joining us on YouTube at Jay the Unstoppable, I appreciate that. If you're joining us on Facebook, or if you are joining us on LinkedIn, thank you all for hanging out with us tonight. We're going to be talking about things that go on in the geek's backyard, right? Some movies, some comics, some games, and Ryan, what's going on with you, brother? Talk to me.
In terms of the geekdom,
in terms of the geekdom, baby.
Well, I guess we can start with what I'm watching. I'm trying to catch up with the Game of Thrones House of the Dragon.
Okay.
You got to stay off the internet because everything, obviously, we know Game of Thrones is event television, right? If you don't watch it Sunday, stay off of the internet until you can watch it.
Okay.
Like an idiot, obviously, I've been on Twitter and stuff. And, but I got one episode I got to catch up, and then I think the finale is this Sunday.
Nice.
But yeah, are you enjoying House of the Dragon?
I have not watched it
at all.
At all.
Oh man.
At all. I don't know. I was gonna ask you, are you getting these, Coke versus Pepsi, Marvel versus DC vibes with Game of Thrones and Rings of Power? Xbox versus PlayStation?
Kind of. But
yeah.
I guess Game of Thrones would be Coke, right? Lord of the Rings is the Pepsi. I mean,
pardon, monsieur, pardon.
As far as these TV shows go, right? Not the franchise. I see what you mean. You're going with Lord of the Rings has been around for what?
Yeah.
No, you're right. But this has nothing to do with those movies. So
no, and that has nothing to do with the shows. No, this does have something to do with the movies.
Directly tied into the shows.
This is directly tied into the stuff that's going on in the movies.
No, it's not. It's years before, and they're taking liberties that they're not connected to the Peter Jackson movies.
I totally understand where you. Well, no, maybe I don't understand where you're going. So,
Lord of the Rings,
the HBO show, what you would call it, House of the Dragon,
right?
That's based on the books, yes.
Right, but it's specifically set 200 years before the exact events of the Game of Thrones series on
HBO. This is not tied to any books that Tolkien wrote, but it does. Sorry, folks. Spoilers. Does give you backstory on where some of the rings come from, how some of the rings were made,
right?
Who Sauron really is, the birth of Gandalf.
More than just depictions of Numenor in the books, you actually get to see it.
You get to see it.
But none of that stuff was in the movies, right?
Correct.
Okay. So I think the main distinction, at least for me, House of the Dragon is kind of giving us backstory for stuff that we have seen on screen, specifically, and much more recently too, obviously, right? I mean, the Peter Jackson movies are what, 20 years old? 15 years old?
Yeah, early 2000s. Yeah, I think 2002 was the first one.
Yeah, it's been a minute.
Mr. Doomsmith. Yes, it's Mr. Pibb. Yes.
I guess he don't like it that much, unless he loves Mr. Pibb. I don't know.
I'm a Barks guy. I'm a Barks.
I don't like those root beers at all.
Really?
I'm a strictly Pepsi guy. Diet Pepsi, to be exact.
Gotcha. So hold on a second. So although I love that logo. So all those times we did conventions and there was Wild Bill soda at the majority of the conventions that we've done with Unstoppable Comics. you're telling me you never had their sarsaparilla or their root beer?
Because we were a captive audience, so we had to try what they had. We had no other option. Plus, you buy a cup for $25, you're gonna drink what they give you.
I got so many cups, dude, from so many different shows.
I still use it. I use it almost every day over there. Straw too, yeah.
Yeah, no, we use it to store the kitchen utensils right there inside of the stove.
The Lord of the Rings. So I remember loving the movies, right?
Okay.
The first trilogy, I should say.
Okay.
And then the Hobbit movies were not bad. I'm one that I can kind of I give it its space, and by that I mean, like, some people would be like, oh, it's not as good as the original 3. Why did they make these? Or I understand, like, things made at different times generally can also be for different audiences.
Yeah.
And kind of like the best example of that is Star Wars, right? So people who are like, oh, the last trilogy was trash. Like, it wasn't made for you, dude. Right. It was made for your kids. Like, if you were old enough to see those things when they came out or on TV or whatever, the first trilogy, these were not made for you. If you were old enough to see the second trilogy in theaters, these were not made for you. But I can still enjoy them. So for me, the Lord of the Rings show, first of all, it's like the greatest looking show I have ever seen. Production value on that is unbelievable. I mean, you'll see an extra 100 yards back, and the dude is in full getup with the stitching down, full makeup, full CGI.
Game of Thrones, yeah.
No, I mean, Lord of the Rings.
Oh, so, okay.
Yeah. Lord of the Rings is very well produced. The Game of Thrones, I feel like, while the Lord of the Rings had $1 billion budget for these 10 episodes, the Game of Thrones probably had $100 million budget.
Okay.
But it doesn't need as much. Plus, Game of Thrones is a lot dirtier, a lot grittier than the Lord of the Rings.
And didn't they still have the sets up, or some of the sets up?
Yeah, but a good thing about the Game of Thrones sets is that they're just real world locations, right? So they can just keep going back. Lord of the Rings, not so much.
Game of Thrones, I don't know, man. I think I was watching it more for the hype than anything else. My wife was into it. I was watching it with her a lot.
Events
towards the end, excuse me. She kept me involved in the end.
Right.
I think the last decent episode, in my opinion, was the Battle of the Bastards episode. It was just like all out fire and brimstone thrown at you. But my favorite episode was the one where the guys were stuck in the ice.
Yeah.
Right? With all the zombies, the White Walkers, and Hound was just like flinging that his thing all the way across the ice. I think that was my last favorite episode. Prior to that, there really wasn't many, dude.
Yeah,
in my opinion.
It lost steam in the end. I still enjoyed it all the way through. Plus, once we heard that they were making the prequels, multiple shows, they did one. Apparently, they made a pilot with Naomi Watts in this House of the Dragon, and that never aired. She was recast, and they went on to something else. I don't know if she had scheduling conflicts or it just sucked.
Yeah. Do you think that's the new term for creative differences? Is
scheduling
conflicts?
Yeah. Yeah. She didn't want to do it with us, so her schedule changed.
Because you look at what's going on in Hollywood right now, and there were scheduling conflicts with getting Henry Cavill back as Superman, but they made it work, right? You can, if it's a legitimate scheduling conflicts and you really want that person, you got to make it work, right?
And we know that went on with the entire mustache incident.
Oh man, dude. I think Tom Cruise just like hates comic book movies. I mean,
I think so too. Yeah, he's never. I mean, the closest he's come is that one. What was that movie that he tried to create? Kind of like it was the
Mummy one?
Yeah, the Mummyverse or whatever it was.
Yeah.
I couldn't even tell you the name of it. I don't even remember.
Dude, it didn't. It just. I felt out of it. Like the first hour just didn't really grab me. But the best thing that Tom Cruise ever did for the Marvel Universe was keep Doug Ray Scott, and we got our proper Logan, our
Yeah.
Hugh Jackman. Why did I come up with an Irish voice for an
No.
Australian guy? I don't know. I'm sorry. Oh, because Doug Gray is Irish. I'm sorry.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, Doug Gray was supposed to be Wolverine originally, and we ended up getting whatchamacallit, Hugh Jackman, because he was stuck doing Mission Impossible 2. You know,
And he's coming back.
Doug Gray Scott.
No, Hugh Jackman.
Yeah.
So no Game of Thrones for you though. Are you gonna
No
try?
Game of Thrones. Which one?
Are you gonna watch it at some point? Maybe binge
I
it.
don't know.
Done?
I don't know.
Have you watched any of the Lord of the Rings?
Dude, I went through it all. I
you
sucked
did?
it up. I
Okay,
waited for the weekly releases. Yeah.
I have one episode left. I need to.
Okay. Okay.
Um,
I liked it. Oh, so you did watch it?
yeah, almost all of them. I just have one episode
Oh,
left.
you got me here talking about it like you've never seen it, dude. You're gonna stop me from
No.
looking like a webbo-head, bro.
No spoilers, man. No spoilers.
Oh, here we go. Another take. Scheduling conflicts equals wants too much money, because
Yeah.
if you want them to unschedule the movie they're supposed to be doing, you throw them more cash, and they probably say yes.
And then
Unless you're Taika Waititi.
with the other one.
Dude, Taika Waititi's doing everything. Apparently, he's doing a new Star Wars flick. He's still doing the Akira movie. He's still got What We Do in the Shadows going on.
Let me ask you about that.
Yeah.
Taika's Star Wars flick. So we all heard that story where during Thor: Love and Thunder, he asked Natalie Portman, "Hey, you want to be in a Star Wars movie?"
Yeah.
And she looked at him like, "You're an idiot." I've been in 3. But does that leave you feeling like, if he hasn't even seen those movies, is that a good thing or is that a bad thing? Is it going to be more of a fresh take? Like where is that?
There's a certain amount of confidence that comes with ignorance, right?
Yeah, but it's usually not a good thing.
I don't know. They say they want to leave the old Skywalker saga behind. So if he's going to be treading new ground, right? If he's the one breaking new ground with new stories, all right. He's setting the pace. He's setting the tone. So I'm cool with that. But if you're watching Andor, it's so fucking good, dude.
I have not finished it. Don't spoil it. I've only seen the first episode. There's too much stuff to watch.
There is too much stuff to watch. There is. And I got a lot of work to do. I got a lot of books to produce. I shouldn't be watching as much as I'm watching. But I don't know if it's like this with you, but watching TV, sometimes it's like 50% quality time with the wife. We'll just sit down on the couch.
This is why I finished a lot of these things, because I wait for her to watch them. And when we start watching them after she gets home, midnight-ish, I'm done. 12:30, the TV's watching me.
I know, dude. I know. But I'm one of those. I'm an early riser, right? I'm up at 4 a.m. I'm usually in bed a hell of a lot earlier than I am now. So that quality time with the wife, maybe we have an hour to watch something before, you said. I'm like,
yeah. Although days off is when we usually catch up on stuff. We'll watch, multiple episodes of stuff. When I'm off and I'm making breakfast, as soon as the food's done, we'll catch an episode of She-Hulk, which we finished, or we'll watch The Lord of the Rings then, or whatever's on.
Okay.
So that's usually when we get to catch up. But if I'm not off, then I gotta wait till midnight. I'm done. I'm falling asleep. I tried to watch that the second to last episode of Lord of the Rings, and I fell asleep again. Okay. So I'll do that on my own later.
Okay.
But going back to Taika, if he does something new, and we know it's going to be a movie, right?
Yeah.
Do we think he's going to go as silly as he did with Thor movies?
I hope not.
Yeah. I think he took it a little too far.
Yeah. That's why you need editors. You need checks and balances. Like one of my favorite movies in the last few years was his, Run Jojo Rabbit. Very heartfelt. Was it Run Jojo Rabbit or Jojo Rabbit?
Just Jojo.
Just Jojo Rabbit. Okay. He did a lot of running.
Yeah.
So I mean, I really like that. I didn't see The Hunt for the Wilder People. I'm a big fan of What We Do in the Shadows.
Yeah. Does
I
he
love
run the Our Flag Means Death, or is that just?
I haven't seen it.
That one was pretty funny. I only caught a couple episodes of that, but Reese Darby's hilarious. So
Yeah. Oh, I love it, dude.
yeah.
Dude, Reese Darby from that, from Jumanji. I love what he did on Voltron. I'm a fan of his.
I still quote some of the stuff he said back in the HBO show, The Flight of the Conchords. I won't say it now.
I didn't see it. Yeah.
Oh my God, it's hilarious. That is hilarious.
But going back to What We Do in the Shadows, when he was, the leader of the pack of werewolves, he he handled it like they were guys in an AA meeting. I was like, this is good stuff, man.
And speaking of that, the movie What We Do in the Shadows also had Jermaine Clement, which was on Flight of the Conchords.
Yes.
Which was hilarious too. Anyway, I hope he doesn't go too far down that.
I hope not either. Yeah.
But I mean, how would that even work in Star Wars?
Well, see, it did work. It did work, right? Going into the world of comic books, when Dark Horse still had the license for Star Wars, they were trying a bunch of things, not just the Emperor's Guard, not just way back prior to all of these prequels. They were doing the Fall of the Old Republic. They did the Dark Empire stuff, but one of their funnier books was Tag and Bink, and they played it up like they were two rebels, and these were the guys that lost Chewbacca's medallion from the first Star Wars flick. Remember during the ceremony after the Death Star got blown up, Luke, Han, they got medallions, but not Chewie.
Yeah.
Tag and Bink. See, yeah, he's with this. Excuse me. Let me bring up William here. Tag and Bink. So it was good. It was funny. They handled the comedy, and they were able to weave that 2-issue miniseries in between all the other stuff that happened within Star Wars. So they can handle comedy.
So going into that, they were able to weave it in between all the stories that were already told, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we know already he has not seen all these stories. So what is he going to do? People are saying in chat, the Love and Thunder was a little bit too much, many jokes, right?
I watched Love and Thunder. There's about 50 minutes of gags and jokes that just didn't land and serve zero purpose to the story. Okay. It made me laugh.
There were some funny parts, but all right. So how did you see it? Did you watch it at home? Or
I did watch it at home. I did watch it.
This is the other thing about
pandemic, bro. We ain't going out to the flicks.
Oh, please.
Okay.
I have an AMC Stubs membership I gotta use.
Are they gonna reimburse you for those other years when you weren't using it?
No, they didn't charge. Yeah, they didn't charge us.
Well, they didn't charge. Nice.
Oh, no, they paused it, which was nice.
Okay,
so when we saw it, there were maybe 3 people in the theater, 2 of them being us. And there's something about those comedy movies when you watch them in theaters that they leave kind of like a half second, a tick, to get the audience reaction, and that's empty. Even if you're laughing, you're not doing the ha ha and sharing a laugh with everybody in the theater, and it doesn't hit the same way. So watching it at home, you're it's that same environment, right? You're not getting the big audience laughs, reactions, or whatever. Maybe that was one of the reasons I didn't like it as much, because I did see it in the theater. Maybe I should have just waited to see it, at home.
I think there was a lot of backstory going on with that flick that we just don't know about yet. And speculation time. Going back to him working on the Star Wars thing, the Akira thing, the What We Do in the Shadows, the Our Flag Means Death, the other spinoff of What We Do in the Shadows with the police officers, dating 2 beautiful women at the same time and marrying one of them. You get overwhelmed, and when you get overwhelmed, you go to what your default setting is, and his default setting is comedy, right? So he was just, all right, let's get in there, let's get it out.
Yeah, I'm worried though. I mean, I know he's talented and he can do a great job. I just don't know if, at least for the Star Wars fans that we are, and maybe like I said before, it doesn't even matter because they're not making it for us,
right?
But that it won't hit the same way. Who knows? I could be very wrong.
Now, we know what we're watching. When you get free time, what are you playing?
Very little free time to play, but and I'll show you here one of the new games
What do you got?
that has just come out on Game Pass. Let's share this tab here. Now you tell me what kind of vibes you get from this. So it's a game called Scorn.
Okay.
I'm not going to play any
Yeah.
video here, but
it
just for
feels
the-
like it's very inspired by Giger
yep,
and Aliens, right?
absolutely.
If the Prometheus was heaven, this would be the hell.
Very good, very good.
You mix a little bit of Diablo in there.
So the only other influence that you have not mentioned that they mentioned is a surrealist Polish painter, which I do not remember the name of at the moment. But they try to meld those two kind of styles to make something that honestly, like, we just haven't ever seen before in games. Some people get kind of grossed out by this, which I understand. Look at the walls. Like, the walls are wet. Like, is this organic? Is it, is it metal? Is it an alien ship? Like, this is something.
Listen, I saw Event Horizon in the theaters, so
yes,
I'm good.
Okay, so you understand that this is the kind of experience that they're going for. They clearly said, like, hey, we really just want you to feel something when you play this.
Ghosts of Mars, I like that.
Yeah, some of that too.
Yeah. So what is this? Is this like a first-person game? Is this a strategy game?
It's a first-person shooter. I'm about
like Doom.
Yes. Well, only. Well, let's put it this way: it's a first-person game. There is some shooting mechanics later on. There's also some puzzle elements. But the I guess the point of the game is kind of just to get you to live in that world, explore it. You're putting your hands in all sorts of stuff, and it's moving. The weapons that you get are actually living. So it's like an entire kind of crazy, weird living world. It's kind of creepy. The sound, when I tell you, like, all right, I'm one of these people that I can't hear people chew or eat, all the lip smacking and all that stuff. Yeah, exactly. I'm muting. So can you imagine every step that you take, every move you make? There's like little gross sounds everywhere. Like, you stick your hand in something and you hear like you're sticking your hand inside of an organ or something. It's gross. It does make you feel something.
So they're trying to make you feel like you played Resident Evil for the first time, where every little nuance and
it's not as scary as that. And like I said, it's more of I don't know, it's more creepy than anything. I don't know if you're a fan of like body horror movies, kind of like the Hellraiser. Remember Hellraiser?
Yeah.
So all the deformation they do with the bodies and ripping skin off and stuff like that, you get some of that in this game, which is kind of neat. First time that you can do that in the game. I'm not very far in. It kind of looks like it kind of looks like that, but it's
out already. It's coming out.
It's out. It's out on Game Pass. So if you have Xbox and you have Game Pass, you can just download it and play it. It is exclusive to Xbox, so unfortunately not coming to PlayStation right now. But if you've got Game Pass, there's no reason you shouldn't just jump in. You can download it right away. Some of the puzzles that I've encountered early on are kind of inventive. It doesn't tell you what to do. It doesn't tell you, hey, go over here, or there's no HUD. It's just
you got to figure it out.
Figure it out, right, which is cool.
Okay.
But very creepy, very gross, which I like. What are you playing? Are you playing anything at all?
XCOM 2.
Still?
That is my default setting when I need to veg out.
Yeah.
I go with XCOM 2. I'm waiting for XCOM 3. But in the meantime of waiting for XCOM 3, let's take a look at this here. The Spider-Man 2 for PS5, right? They just said Insomniac is now saying that they are delayed. They're still coming out in 2023.
Yeah.
But it's delayed. Did they give a date originally for its release?
No, they just said sometime in the future. We kind of guessed it would be 2023. But if they're saying it's delayed later into 2023, then they were probably looking at an early spring kind of date. They do that a lot with their big games, but this is one of those that's so big they got to go kind of a fall release for the Christmas.
Well,
holiday.
Miles Morales, right, was released around Christmas time. I remember
and Miles Morales actually took place during Christmas in the game.
Okay.
This one is not going to be that, but
I wish there was more to Miles Morales. I had fun with it.
So,
but it just ended too quickly.
That's my only critique of the game. It was supposed to be DLC. Let's be real. Like, that was supposed to be DLC for the first Spider-Man. And they said, you know what? We dropped these 3 little episodes. Miles Morales is coming out to a little bit longer than these little chapters. Let's hold it, pretty it up, and make it its own game. But that was what, 5-6 hours tops if you.
Yeah. And the bad guy was the big bad was Juggernaut.
Yeah. And okay. I mean,
yeah, exactly. That's it. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying I didn't have fun. I did have fun with it. I'm looking forward to him and Peter being playable characters.
Yes.
In the next one,
some of the team up stuff that they have in the trailer is kind of cool.
Yeah.
One thing most people are wondering is if you're gonna have both Spider-Man and Miles Morales in the game, is it gonna be co-op?
Hopefully.
Hopefully. We'll see.
I hope it's an online play.
Bro, that's what I'm saying. Like, have it be online co-op. That would be real cool.
Look at the Ninja Turtles. It was easy for online co-op.
Yeah, I mean that game was.
That's what I was playing recently. I was playing the Ninja Turtles, the Shredder game. Okay.
Yeah. Shredder's Revenge. That thing is great. Throwback. It was a throwback for sure.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. Okay. But I like it. If I could get anything from Unstoppable Comics going in a video game, I'd like it to be that simple.
Yeah.
Right. Easily playable. Yeah, dude.
Maybe we can make that game and just throw the sprites of Interceptor, Dragon Storm, and everybody on it. That'd be kind of dope.
From your mouth. But can code be copywritten? Or no?
Yeah. For sure.
So then we can't reskin it.
No, I'm not saying we could. I'm just saying maybe we'd want to. No, let me stop. That would be cool. There was an Unstoppable game in the works back in the day, was there not?
There was, and I spent too much money on getting just one level done, and we're gonna move on from there.
It was cool.
That's the one thing when it comes to publishing comic books. I eat with my eyes. I eat with my mouth and my hands too, but I like to. I like to try things, right? I want to see what we can do, but the money I spent trying to build that little bit of game, I ended up costing myself putting out more content. We could have had a lot more books.
But you learned something.
We did. We learned not to do it early.
Yeah. Do you know the next game that's coming from Insomniac after Spider-Man 2?
It would be Wolverine.
Yes. So now you got to figure if this has been delayed, and the pandemic has delayed so many damn games, it's unbelievable. In fact, this year should have been the year, probably the greatest year of video games ever, and all of them have been delayed into next year.
Oh yeah.
One in particular I'm waiting for is Starfield on Xbox, but the next one after this is going to be Wolverine, and that's going to be great because this studio just makes amazing games. But if this has been delayed to later in 2023, and they don't have an entirely separate team working on Wolverine yet, then that means most likely we're not going to see Wolverine until 2025.
Is it just screenshots so far, or did they put a trailer together for Wolverine?
They put a CGI trailer, so it was just like to set the mood. That kind of just shows you that there was no actual game that could have been shown yet. If they had anything at all.
Okay.
But that should be fun. I don't know if you've ever played any of the older Wolverine games, but they were actually decent.
No. The last thing I played Wolverine was the Acclaim games, the 2 X-Men games.
Oh, that was
where you could play 4 people at the same time.
Yeah.
What was that? PS2?
PS2 era. That's the Marvel Alliance joints. Those are
Yeah, good games. Good
those,
games.
so speaking
Man,
of Spider-Man, let's see there.
I don't know. I'm not a gamer like that. I have fun, but I can't. I'm not somebody who finishes games and stuff.
Now, as long as you, and that's the other thing. The big game that's coming out this actually couple of days. The campaign for Modern Warfare 2 drops.
Okay.
Next week, the multiplayer drops. That's the kind of game that you can jump in for 15, 20 minutes. Play a match or two.
I get it, but I haven't played that since they did the World War II one.
Oh,
That's
no,
the last one I had fun playing. And how many releases was that now? 4, 5?
No, more than that, I think.
Really?
I mean, we've had 3 since the one that I tried to get you to play last time, which was the first Modern Warfare reboot, which this is the sequel to. Maybe I'll drag you on and try to.
Yeah, you can try.
Play a match.
If I'm still playing XCOM 2, what do you think I'm going to do about that? But look, if we can get to a little bit of the topic, and the video games have a part to play in it, right? One of the questions I asked going into this was, should comic book movies or comic book games even be out there promoting the source material as well? Should they be promoting comic books, and should they be promoting the comic book shops where you can find them at? Are they obligated to do that?
How if so?
Mm-hmm.
And I think in using the source material, give a nod to the source material. So obviously, let's say what's the last. Let's think about the Spider-Man again, right? So the last 3 Spider-Man movies have been great. He's been in other stuff, right? Now, if you're basing one of those movies off of a storyline in one of the books, how would you go about promoting the book with the movie? Do you put it in the title screen? Do you put it in the credits? Do you put it on the DVD box?
Well, some of them have had stuff in the credits, right? I'll pick up at your local comic book shop, right? And if I can, I want to share this part for a second because you are bringing this up. Can they be giving out free copies at theaters? You buy your ticket.
Sure.
Of course.
I've gotten free copies. What was it that I got a free copy for? This was years ago. It must have been more than 10 years ago, where they were giving out issue number 1 for something, and I don't remember what it was.
Well, even if it's, on the ticket stub, you got the QR code. I know how much you love QR codes, where you can download a free copy. So you know what? You're giving away the stuff for free. You're not paying to produce a physical product, and you're giving people a chance to find out where the source material came from.
Right. Plus, right? I mean, a lot of times the movies and or the games are people's first exposure to a lot of these characters and worlds. As a kid, like the comics that I used to read, X-Men and some Superman comics and Batman. If you were to say, hey, listen, you got a Doctor Strange movie coming out, and it's the first time I see Doctor Strange, I'm like, oh, maybe I want to go back and take a look at this.
Right. If you give me a second here, let me show this for a moment, right? Yeah. This is on CBR.com, right? Comic Book Resources. There's an article they put up a couple weeks ago, but it's still important to this day. And with Black Adam coming out, let's bring that up for a second. Forget about Wakanda Forever. Forget about Batman 2, which was announced. Forget about Deadpool 3. Let's zero in on Black Adam. And it was written on the article, although we have seen some attempts to market comics with movies, such as Matt Reeves' attempt while promoting the Batman, these efforts have been the exception to the rule. Even with DC's release of Black Adam trades to coincide with the movie, this has been trying to sell itself using a movie, rather than a movie trying to help sell comics. Few excited moviegoers are aware they can pick up a current, ongoing Black Adam limited series, or that the movie even has a slew of prequel one-shots dedicated to individual characters. So with that being said, should a movie be obligated to let moviegoers know there's more to the experience than what is on the screen?
My initial reaction would be yes, and only
Okay.
because that's where a lot of the richness of the stories comes from, right?
Okay.
Generally, when they create a new movie, it's not like they're coming up with wholly original ideas. I mean, a lot of times they do have their own, but they're going to pick and choose pieces from different, you know,
And that's
different.
understandable. That's
Right.
understandable.
So give them a little credit, right? Give the writers a
Okay.
little credit, even though you adapted the screenplay for the movie. You're getting these ideas and the characters' stories from the books, right? So my
Okay.
question to you is, I agree that yes, they should, but then how, right? What would be the best way to do so?
Is it their obligation to do that? Is it should the local comic book shop be at the theater and maybe try to work in a tie-in, right? My background before comic books was in selling beer. And I remember when we would sell to bars, we would have a big promotion for a rolling out of a new beer that was within the portfolio, and we would promote that on the radio. If the bar wanted in on that, right, they would have to pay half of the promotion. Why aren't they doing stuff like that? Why aren't they telling certain shops or certain distributors, hey, we're promoting this. Can you buy in to a certain piece and maybe forget about doing it on TV, forget about on the commercials? What about on podcasts, on streamings like this? Could they
I think,
not be paying into that? Could
I guess
that be part of their multi-billion-dollar budget?
so. Because the budget is so large and the reach
Mhm.
is so big, how do you break it down to a JD's comic shop in Brooklyn? Like how do you bring them in? That would be
Right.
more on a local level.
Okay.
And I think maybe instead of it being the responsibility, well, I was just saying, instead of it being the responsibility of like the movie's marketing team, who would take that over? That would be the theater, the local theater, or a chain of local theaters. Like you said, you can give out the QR codes to get people to download stuff. And
That's
William
it.
in the comments said that She-Hulk had QR codes in the show, so you can download She-Hulk related digital comics. That's a great idea, right? Uh,
Right. Shit,
in a,
they did it also with Moon Knight,
right.
right? When they were going through the museum, there was a QR code to scan into the museum. But if you scan that QR code, you got a free download of the Werewolf by Night, which was a nice little short that came out, a featurette.
I gotta watch that too. Um,
Oh,
so that works great on the TV shows because you're watching
right,
these at home. For the movies, much more difficult. But
right.
you can do that mid-credit scene, like
Yeah.
what was it? The Super Bowl ad that had the QR code bouncing
Yes,
around.
bouncing up and down. Right,
You can
right.
do that for 2-3 seconds or whatever, 10 seconds after the credits, and people will pull out their phones because that's one thing you don't want people doing during the movie is pulling out their phone.
Dude, you could do that right before previews, right?
You
How
can
many times do people
post
get
it on the
into a
door.
theater 20 minutes
Right.
before a movie starts, right? And they're showing us tons and tons of previews. But again, on a ticket stub, it's printed out, you scan it, you don't got to worry about your ushers uh, forgetting the case in the back and losing product. It's there with every sale.
Well, that's the other thing is the ticket stub is on its way out, right? So all these, I mean, the tickets are at least the only tickets that I have dealt with in the last several years have been digital anyway. If I
So you
book,
get the QR code on your phone.
not even, I'll take it even one step further. If I have booked a ticket for a movie, you already have my information, right? I'd had to pay, which means you have my email address most likely. Just email me the file instantly.
You're going too complicated. How about just give me the link to the file that you've already set up for me to download?
I would say if you're going to send me that receipt that
Yeah.
says, "Oh, thank you for purchasing tickets to go see Black Adam. Here's digital copy of issue number 1, blah blah blah." Just do it automatically, and I think that makes it much easier. But that again is coming from the theater, not coming from the movie studio.
Right.
I think they should. I think the movies should definitely promote the books. The shops is going to be even harder to do. but I think that starts to fall more on the theater chains or local events. So if, let's say, the movie premiere for Black Adam was here in New York, right? Lincoln Square. I don't know where it was. I don't know where it was, but let's just say it was. To have somebody on the red carpet there walking by and have, like you said, local comic shops in the area selling the books. Be like, hey, you want to pick up the book? Go down here to Joe's shop on 58th and 9th and pick up the book there. Right. They could do that kind of stuff. But I think it gets pretty complicated in how and who should take the responsibility to do so. A video game, much easier. The movies, probably the hardest way to do it, right? TV show, probably the easiest way to do it. Like you said, drop the QR code in the background. A video game could literally have the files already loaded in it, There's a lot of games where you roam the world and you can actually pick up books in the world and read them. In fact, there's a game called Fallout, which I don't know if you've played.
Yeah, we're not gonna talk about them right now. Yes.
You know what I'm talking about.
Yes, I know what we're talking about. So let's forget about Fallout for a second. I know where you're going. You mentioned the Black Adam screening here in New York City. I don't know if this was in New York or not, but it was at a Black Adam screening. That's Aldis Hodge, the actor portraying Hawkman in the flick. This right now is what I love about comic books. All right, forget about all the people that are pulling up to the barricade right now. Look at that little dude. Look at that little dude holding out the book, right? Look at his eyes. I'm going to fucking tear up right now because that kid right now is looking at his momentary idol, right? And I don't know whether Aldis Hodge knows this or not, but he's inspiring thousands upon thousands of little young men just like him. Doesn't matter whether he's black, white, Spanish, Asian, right? I know little white kids that were dressing up like Black Panther, right? But for this moment right now, right, this is why representation matters.
For sure.
Because this little dude is seeing somebody that looks like him, and he's glowing right now, right? He is fucking psyched, and this is one of the things that I talk about whenever we do conventions, and you see a mother or father there with their kid, right? This is that moment. You see that glow in that kid. This movie means more than all the stuff that we're talking about to that little dude right there, man.
Yeah. No, I absolutely. Representation absolutely does matter.
Dude,
is seeing himself. He's seeing himself possibly in the future. It's like, I could be.
Yeah, man. He's literally looking at someone he can look up to, And I mean, look at his face right now. Oh my God, man.
That's the price of
I just want to hug the little dude and say, you're going to have a fucking blessed life. If you keep that enthusiasm, that level of interest you had and look at Aldis Hodge's face. He knows that, right? It's just a quick slide profile. And I mean, he's beaming inside, dude. He is, man.
That's a great photo right there.
Oh man. Oh man. Let's we're gonna be cutting out of here soon. So let me take a look at a few more comments, right? Whoa. Okay. So there's no scumbag resellers if it's just a digital book, Cecil. And does it spoil the movie if you read the comic before the movie? Not if it's like Ryan was saying, something that is sourced from so many different places at the same time, right? They don't have to stick to just one storyline. They can pick and choose as they please.
My favorite example of that is, we all know Batman's origin story, right? We've seen it 1,000 times, but no matter how many times we've seen it, we're always willing to take, somebody else's interpretation of it. We'll still watch it. You don't have to redo it to death, but having read the books, I don't think would spoil these the movies.
So, one of the things that they always talk about, the older people talk about is Batman 1989, right? And back then they said Batman 1989. People would come out of the theater, go into shops, and they'd buy Batman books, but they were also buying a ton of Marvel books at the same time because they didn't know. Right? This was in a day before social media. There was marketing, but not to the levels that we know today. I think people expect big film productions to have all of that stuff integrated into their marketing plan when they produce uh, a flick and when they're marketing the flick to get people to go buy the source material. I don't think they need to because way back when, going all the way back to 1989, dude, people were going in droves into the comic shops, right? And
Right.
I don't know if anybody knows that 89 to 90s was a big boom in comic books, and it did not have the level of social media we got going on today.
Yeah, I guess that's the one disadvantage to their time. Obviously, going to see the movie. If you wanted anything else, Batman, where would you get it? Right? Well, you go to Blockbuster and rent the VHS of the 1960s Batman. So you had to go out and pick up those books. I think now that we have so many different types of media formats for these stories to be told on, maybe just creating the movie in and of itself is going to promote all the other source material. I don't know.
Says a picture's worth 1,000 words. Going back to Aldous Hodge with the young man at the movie premiere. Hell yeah, man. Hell yeah, brother.
So, what is the? I mean, you're much more well versed in these characters than I am. For me to, we just mentioned earlier that there's so much stuff to watch, right?
Right.
Now, go ahead and add on to that. There's a lot of stuff to read, and there's a lot of stuff to play, and there's a lot of stuff to listen to. Maybe, and this might be a hot take, maybe we don't need more of the source material. Maybe the movie and the show is enough. Like, do I now need to go and read all the Moon Knight series, however many of those there are? I have no idea.
Okay.
Or is it good enough that the story is being told through the TV show and being done well, adding to my opinion, and just wait till next year when there's another season?
If there is a next year.
Right.
I want to, before we cut out of here, I want to give an example of what we're talking about this. I saw Jurassic Park, the movie, before I read the book. And I that's the first movie I actually paid to go see 4 different times in the theaters. One of my top 5 favorite movies.
That's the first movie I saw in theaters.
Really?
Yeah, my dad.
Oh, man, I'm so much older than you. It hurts me. But it wasn't until months later that I read the novel Jurassic Park, right? And for me, I felt like it enhanced my experience of the movie reading the book after I saw the movie because there was so much more involved in it.
Right.
And there were chapters that were used in the second flick, right? And I was like, oh, okay, I know where they pulled that from. So going to comics, like you're saying, if it enhances the experience and gives them, anyone who's interested in it, something extra, I'm with that.
Got you. Yeah. Filling in the gaps, yeah, that makes much more sense. I was worried more so that, and this is obviously not the same thing that's going to happen. What's up, Dave? That people who read the books beforehand, kind of alluding to William's point about spoiling the movie, people that read the books beforehand, we're talking about a different kind of medium, right? So comic books inherently have photographs, right? Well, not photographs. They have artwork. Whereas a book like Jurassic Park was just strictly text. So you always hear people say, oh, the movie wasn't as good as the book because it'll never match up to your imagination, right? You read a book and you're filling in all the visuals with the things that you were creating. And when the movie doesn't come out that way, you're like, the book was better.
Right. You feel like you were let down. Yeah.
Right. But comics don't have that issue because comics already have artwork involved, right? They have art direction involved. So I guess all that to say that the comics should enhance the experience if they can, like you said, fill in some extra spaces.
Yeah. Yeah, I do. Speaking of filling extra spaces, right? Before we get out of here, because we're about to hit this hour mark, I want to talk about filling the spaces with something that I have recently made, ladies and gentlemen, which is currently available on Kickstarter for a few more days. I think we're about to touch the 2-week mark, and the latest book from Unstoppable Comics, The Dead Princess Vicky Styx, can be found. Oh, I just fucking removed it. God damn it.
Try it again, Jay.
There we go. So this is the book right now that's going on from Unstoppable Comics. And we're not out here making a lot of money. We're not living in mansions. We're not driving Maseratis.
But somebody's got to pay for these toys back here.
Somebody's got to pay for the toys. So if you can, please, the link. No, I'm not joking. We got to pay for these toys, brother. Yeah. The link is going to be here in the comment section, right? Saturday night, we're going to be doing a promotional giveaway to everyone who has backed the campaign so far. They're eligible for a nice little bonus added to the reward. So if you want to be eligible for any of those bonuses, you got to get into this before Saturday night, folks. There's only 2 weeks left, and we're short from being funded by a couple bucks there, right? We're maybe what is it? Just $600, a little bit over $600 to go.
Yeah.
So if you can, please jump on board. Help us produce quality content that fills the gaps when people are waiting for new movies to show up. So, all right, folks, and that's the QR code. That's the QR code. That's our scaled down version of the Super Bowl ad. QR code. But you know what? Hold on a second. Let me. Here we go. There you go. Bounce it around the screen so people can scan it. The cool thing is people think that's something new, because most of the time Geek Space and comic, Geek Space and sports don't really integrate. So you're an innovator. But yeah, folks, if you can, check out The Dead Princess Vicky Styx #1 on Kickstarter for another 2 more weeks. We're still shy of being funded, but hopefully we get there. From support from people like you. And for those of us who are watching on YouTube, thank you very much. Please like, subscribe, and share. Same thing on LinkedIn and Facebook as well. Please. We're here to have fun. I thank you all for the questions tonight, and I'm happy to be hanging out with one of my homies.
We'll do it again soon.
All right. Ryan, where can they find you?
As I said last time, in the streets. No. My socials, go to Unstoppable Comics.
Unstoppable Comics. There you go.
Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. We're always on there checking that stuff.
There you go. And I am the same place. You can find me at Unstoppable Comics. Jay the Unstoppable on YouTube. Jay the Unstoppable on Instagram. And if you are in Manhattan, ladies and gentlemen, this Sunday, 151st and Riverside Drive, there is an Oktoberfest going on over there. I will be there Sunday from 3 to 6, having a nice little comic book Q&A with people who want to know more about getting into the industry, what it takes to put together a comic book, and what it takes to stay sane as you are continuing to put together comic books.
We're going to try and stream that as well.
Yes.
So,
you see how much fun we're having tonight with the difficulties.
The technical
difficulties. We can avoid that. So. Yes. All right. So thank you all for joining us. I hope you had a little bit of fun. And please check out the Kickstarter campaign going on right now. The Dead Princess Vicky Styx #1. Later.
Peace.